che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, incaricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno si è avverato, è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare felici e contenti.
Con questa maglia devo veramente fare una performance diversa perché sto rappresentando uno dei club più grandi al mondo.
Buongiorno, buonasera, buon pomeriggio, ciao a tutti i milanisti nel mondo. Hi everyone, welcome to the latest Milanista 360 episode. I'm joined today by none other than Shanus McAnus.
I've changed my name by default. You must now refer to me as that name.
From the mighty Malaga, and Cronicius Jr. From none other than Malaysia. How you doing, gentlemen? Shane, how you doing, mate? Let's start with you.
Good, man. It's good. I woke up this morning with this great sense of hope because it's kind of like I feel like I'm supporting a professional football team again that has its shit together. But then I just kind of remembered that we're still owned by Redbird, so yeah, temper expectations. But good, man. Yeah. How about you, Husni?
Yeah, woke up good as well. Woke up to a win. It's always good to wake up to a win and make that 3-3 with no goals conceded. But yeah, we'll speak a lot about the game in a bit. But overall, sporting-wise, it's been good. Health-wise, still getting there. So this is a public service announcement. Keep healthy, guys. Keep healthy.
Yes, look after yourselves. I mean, Husni the hero, he's feeling a little rough, and he goes out and runs a 5K run. So there you go, man. That's how you should all be living your lives.
I can imagine the doctor, right? And whatever you do, don't do any intensive physical activity. Husni, fine. Yeah. A 5K run doesn't equate to that. I'll be fine.
In Malaysia, which is probably like 40 degrees. You're quite close to the hospital. All right, so
the route took us along to the hospital, so I was like, okay, maybe this is. If something were to happen, it wouldn't be too bad.
I could just pop in mid-race just to make sure I'm doing all right. Yeah.
Oh, man. It's awesome to have you both here today, really, honestly. First time we're all together in a very long time. Already we've got Fahadinho and Kim. Good morning, gentlemen. And Fahadinho, I have no idea what time it is where you are, but it's later on in the day, and it's like midday or something.
Kim's in the future time.
Yeah.
It's kind of afternoon time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And Cachavit has just joined us. Buongiorno, Cachavit. People, do yourselves a favor. Like and subscribe. Turn on notification. Kim.
Thanks for that, Kim, because we always forget to fucking say that.
We always forget.
Like and subscribe and all that bullshit, guys.
It's just really nice to be here talking to all of you again. We're ready. We've got a hell of a lot of content this week to cover. Surprisingly, despite the fact that we didn't play midweek, there's a lot, because if it's not on the field, it's off the field. Always the case. So we can begin. Whoever's got control, start the share.
Gotcha.
Who's got control?
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, there we go.
Here we go. All right. Let's start with a little bit of news, guys. Maybe we want to make that a little bit smaller, because can we try and make that so it's only... Oh, here you go. Go on, Shane. Try and find a way.
All right.
No stress. There you go. Awesome, man.
Okay,
that's a good setup. Yeah, that's a really good setup. Right. The first thing we really want to clarify, we've had several episodes, Husni and Shane, talking about the San Siro purchase. And I'm going to first tell you the facts on the realistic facts right now, but then I'm also going to give you the view from Italy on this, okay? The latest view on Italy from this. So San Siro purchase and redevelopment plan. Fahadinho has not slept. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not taking the blame. Blame Rossoneri for that. Shout out to them too. They
Never
go on
stay
quite
awake
late.
for AC Milan, Fahadinho. This makes no sense.
Yes,
Stay awake
exactly.
for a woman, or something else, but you never stay awake for this fucking shit show football team.
Right. So the first thing to say is what's been decided, what's progressing. Agreement to purchase. Milan and Inter have theoretically agreed to buy the land for 197 million. You will hear in the press a figure much closer to 78 million, 79 million. That is the initial payment. And then the other payments can be paid in stages. The total payment is set to be 197 million. That's a fact. Okay. The city council have, in theory, given green light in principle to moving through. The stadium enables, or the plan enables, destruction of over 90% of the current stadium for use as mixed use development. And the new stadium will be 71,500. Yes, it's on the San Siro site that we've described before, alongside Inter Milan. There is no two ways about it. It is shared between Redbird and Oak Tree. And Mayor Salah aims to complete by 26, saying that it needs to be completed 2031 because of UEFA Euro 2032 requirements. So there are deadlines on this. Now, the issues that remain today, okay? First, Inter and Milan are being accused of having avoided 26 million euros of payments in maintenance of the stadium, which they have not come through with. You still got political opposition and legal heritage concerns. Honestly, there are still people going after them for heritage, environmental, and urban planning. And there is a very high risk of missing deadlines because November, I think 9th or the 10th, there's going to be a hard deadline where the two clubs will not basically be able to demolish as much of the San Siro as currently available. Okay, so the realistic answer on the table today is that the deal's very close to being finalized. Mayor Salah has said so. Full approval still is pending. Okay, so that has not gone through. So I just want to make this crystal clear. Now, guys, these facts you probably know already. Now, do you want to know the view from Italy? Because this is the important one. Their view from Milanisti in Italy is that Mayor Salah is lying. First thing to say, he is trying to cover his ass because his single biggest thing that he has to do is get rid of that stadium. He needs to offload that stadium. The council cannot afford to keep the San Siro by itself without Inter and Milan there. So that's the first thing. Mayor Salah is blowing smoke up everyone's backsides. That's the first view. The second side is that Scaroni is involved in this, and it's in his interest, apparently, to make sure that Milan has absolutely no way that they go to San Donato. He has got an interest in the San Siro being utilized for the clubs. And here comes the problem. Apparently, there's a caveat that if Inter and Milan buy the San Siro, for a minimum of 15 years, the two clubs have to be together. Yeah, they cannot develop anything else. So they'll have to share all the costs within that. Now, the one thing that no one is really talking about is the renovation costs here. All right, let's say this goes through. Think about the Redbird loan. Think about how much a new stadium takes to build. A good estimate right now is about between 1.6 and 2 billion euros to do everything. Is anybody going to be buying Milan for that valuation? That's the facts on the ground. And so in Italy, the main thought is that all of this is smoke and mirrors. Milan is not interested, Redbird is not interested in moving San Donato forward. They can't really afford it. they're not interested in this project, but they're being forced because of this pending deadline. And so something has to come to a head sooner or later between the two clubs. We don't know what the something is. Redbird are apparently pretty scared of what's going on at the moment with this pending deadline.
John, so that was a fair point just by Kim. I wouldn't be surprised if UEFA President Infantino was involved, hence why he was with Forlani's Scaroni a few weeks ago. And that would make sense because he also went to meet the Inter, let's say, board members as well, right? So
Oak Tree.
Yeah, Oak Tree. So, I mean, this makes sense.
I mean, so the realistic pressure is you must have the stadium ready by 2031 in order to qualify for UEFA 2032 Euro, right?
Yep.
So that would be why he's gone there. He's gone, do you want the San Siro, such a iconic stadium, to just be left out? Do you want Milan to be left out? I think that's the bigger thing. You know, do you want Milan as a city to be left out of this deal? Because, you know, it's going to be a huge amount of money. And I think, yeah, he probably went to the clubs and said, you do know what, if you own the stadium, what revenues you can make from a Euro competition using your stadium. That's probably what it comes down to try and convince them. But that's the realistic answers on the table, guys. I'm not, you know, we're not here to kind of like put a particular angle, positive or negative. Maybe the question I've got for you is, why do you think Inter don't talk about this at all? What's your opinion on that, Husni? I'll start with you.
The way that I see it is that a lot of this talk with regarding the stadium is actually coming from the management rather than the ownership. And how I view Inter, and this is purely from a Milan fan perspective, is that they may be overly focused on the sporting side. They actually worry about all these issues. And I guess if it's not official, then what's the point of talking about this at this stage? So one of, you know, after hearing what you said, John, the things that really worry me has to do with the risks that that everyone is well aware of haven't really gone away. And what then could happen is that if it's forced to be, you know, just pushed through, and we have to get a stadium project going in spite of all these regulatory hurdles, does this then become like a Frankenstein sort of stadium where, yeah, you know, we had an architect's plan, but due to this, that, during construction, we're not allowed to do it. It turns out completely different. Ballooning costs, doesn't get finished. It's maybe the prelude to a bigger mess, and that's what worries me a lot. Now, San Donato, when I first heard the idea, and you know, with the moves that we're making, I did see that as positive, and I do want us to have our own stadium. We're a big club, you know. If whoever it is that still wants to believe it, we're a big club, and we deserve our own stadium. We don't have to be sharing. I think sharing is more of a relic of the past. I do get the economics behind it, sharing, splitting costs, and all that. But with Inter, we should be in a position by now that we don't really need to. Now, if Cardinale and Redbird don't have the funds to build a new stadium in San Donato, it pretty much speaks even worse for them. Say that not only don't they care about the sporting side of things, but also when it comes to the infrastructure and, you know, the part that I think the cornerstone, if they do eventually sell the club, they can't even get that in order. So a bad mess made worse. That's Redbird's playbook, definitely.
Shane.
Yeah, I think I want to echo what Husni just said as well. I think with Inter, right, they're still run like a football club that wants to win things. I think part of our one of our main issues with this ownership has been, you know, essentially it was our biggest fear at the start when this ownership came in, that they would use the carrot and a stick approach to the fans, which is basically being, oh, it doesn't really matter about our success on the pitch, guys, because what really matters is, look, we positive balance sheets and all of this business, right? But the thing is fans don't give a shit. The thing is, Redbirds, you know, all they really have, because they, you know, let's say what's happened on the pitch has been a joke. So all they have is just this stadium business to go back to. One thing that sticks out to me is being very, very cheeky, though. Looking at the issues in opposition, so there's 26 million in backlog maintenance claims. So am I right in understanding that it wasn't enough for the city council in Milan to be stealing money from the ticket sales? They also charged the clubs for maintenance over the stadium as well.
I believe so. Yeah.
And no wonder why they were so, you know, loath to let it go to become privately owned by the clubs, because I mean that's fucking horrific.
Yeah, but what's the alternative? Let's think about the dynamics at play here. San Donato, let's call that. It was a clear land where you could have built everything. You would have had to have built an infrastructure, but you could have started the work on the ground by now. Yeah. Then that means you need the money. So they decided, no, we don't have the money, so we're gonna keep playing around with San Siro and pretend that the two are against each other. There are different dynamics. I think the new ownership thought we'll buy the land at San Donato and offer that potentially as an avenue where a new owner could come along, buy everything, and they can build there, right? So that's the get out clause. Then the Milan Council, they're desperate. They can't have the San Siro without an ownership, Shane and Husni. It just cannot happen. That building will literally become like a relic museum, basically. And then what happens? They're not getting the annual payments from clubs using it. That will literally fall into huge disrepair, like so many other things in Italy. So you can see the dynamic here. Now, Scaroni is apparently playing the side for the San Siro alongside Mayor Sala. God knows what's going on between the two of them. And we've all discussed about Scaroni and we've discussed about Mayor Sala in previous episodes. Oak Tree just want the cheapest possible way forward. That's what I see. But they're not really that bothered. As you guys both said, Inter fans have a lot of sporting stuff to talk about. But they always avoid talking about the stadium, whilst we don't have. So midweek, this story blew up, didn't it? Again. But the truth is, actual movement, actual signatures, no. It's Mayor Sala just talking to the press, trying to promote that this thing is moving forward. It actually isn't. So that's why I thought it was important that we should just mention this at the beginning of the pod. Don't everyone get overexcited about this. Yeah? But deadlines will force the hand of Redbird. They have to stop running away and pretending that they're trying to do something. Ultimately, 40 whatever million they paid for that land, it can still go for redevelopment for other crap. Yeah? So the land will pay for itself.
John, one thing that I do want to add, it has to do with the game. As you know, that we will have to play that game, one game away from San Siro next year, right? So there's talk about it being played in Perth. So I'm thinking down the line is that if with all these stadium issues ongoing, and it comes to the point that you can't really play in the San Siro anymore, and if they do allow a league game to be played at essentially not your home ground, does this then set the precedent that we would be, I don't know, maybe renting stadiums elsewhere or just playing games in different countries, different stadiums for several times in a season?
It sets a very dangerous precedent though as well, right?
I agree.
I mean, the same model could apply, right? Just pay the rental for the day or the match day. Don't know how they work it out with the stadium owner, whoever that may be. And just play there. After all, if it's cheaper than what they're paying to the city council, maybe that financially makes more sense. But it's a real weird thing to be doing that. Real weird.
Yeah.
I mean, there was talks about them just playing in Atlanta Stadium.
There was.
So, I mean, that would make sense. But, like, it does... I don't like the concept of it, I think playing a preseason friendly or playing, like, let's say, a World Club Cup, like, tournament in Australia is fine. Or in Asia, it's fine. But, like, I don't like the whole precedent that they'd set by being able to play a league game in a foreign country.
It is a dangerous situation because you can see it spiraling, can't you?
You can, because they'll all start abusing it, John. Like, Juventus will be playing over in US, Inter will be playing over in China. It just gets messy. I think the precedent should be stopped before it becomes a thing. And it's kind of, that to me is kind of very much aligned with, like, an Americanization of what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, NFL does this. So, you might not know, the NFL plays some games here in England.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've exported some games over here, and I'm telling you, Wembley Stadium completely sells out and gets packed. So it's a
Mhm.
pretty good thing. They come here, but yeah, it is a precedent which is dangerous because so many other clubs are going to be seeing it as a potential revenue spinner, and then you lose a lot of that identity again, which there's a big argument. I can see FIFA and UEFA having to really think about carefully about this, about allowing it, because others then will then see it and then they'll start to try to do it.
I mean,
Yeah.
like Italian clubs don't have the draw that the EPL clubs do.
Hmm.
So I mean, can you imagine the EPL clubs would be doing this all the time? I don't think there shouldn't be a precedent set. If it's a, like the Super Cup, right? That's fine because it's what is it, 2 games, 3 games maybe
Yeah, in Saudi, yeah.
in Saudi, right? I mean, that's fine, right? Because it's its own enclosed little sub trophy, right?
Yeah.
But like, you can't, not a league game. You can't, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a case of watch this space. When it happens, it could be a trigger for something. So
Yeah.
Gonardi, welcome. He says maybe they rented the Atalanta Stadium or even Monza Stadium. You never know. There's a few local locations. It'd be lovely to play at Como, wouldn't it, as well?
That'd be nice, actually. Yeah.
It's a gorgeous stadium.
Or Milanello.
Fahadinho says, from a business perspective, San Donato is a more profitable option for revenue gains of selling the club after owning it. Of course it is. But it is in terms of a pure, if you've got the money, go build somewhere new and build all the infrastructure. You take all the revenues eventually. But that takes really deep pockets to do that and then cover Redbird's current loan to Elliot at the same time. This is a problem.
Because you see, it makes so much sense that this was what was going to happen. Because if you think about it, right, Redbird will love this because, again, it's finances first, right?
Yeah.
But there's such a small, like a low amount of risk with this. Like for not a huge amount of financial output, right, compared to what you'd have to do to build your own.
Correct.
Like, it just makes sense, so.
Yeah. We remember we said, is this really going to happen? Is this kind of some smoke? And all it was, the opinion is, they're just stalling for time constantly. Gonardi's pointing out that Juve played at in Torino during the new stadium construction, which makes perfect sense. All right, let's move on to the next topic because we've got a lot to cover. So match day 3, which is last week's game for Milan versus Bologna. Couple of things happened. We got the mighty Allegri getting his jacket off, and the mighty Modric scoring his first goal for Milan, which you've put on their 61st minute.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the game before I give you my opinion? Let's start with you, Shane, since I can see you there on the left.
It was good. What I did like, though, was the fact that the FIGC actually apologised because of the bad penalty call. So the way that I'd seen the penalty incident was, and this is extra embarrassing because keep in mind we do exist now in the time of VAR. So it turns out what had happened was VAR only showed the referee, the second time that Nkunku went down, which was a bit of a dive, right?
Yes.
But it didn't show him the actual, and to be quite honest with that, right, I think Nkunku should have actually dove. Because I think he could have just been given the second as well. Because, like, to say that he was actually legitimately fouled and that should have been a penalty the first time, I'd just dive again just to make sure, at least I could stop play at some point. So, I mean, it was a very bad decision. And to say that the referee was only showing the second part where Nkunku dived, I don't think there should be any excuses for that. Keep in mind, it all turned out well. However, this would have been a different sort of situation if it was 1-1 at that point. Right?
Yeah, 1-0 is never secure, is it?
Exactly.
1-0 it's never secure, so it could have gone really badly. That's a really good point there, Shane. Husni, how did you view the game? And then I'll tell you my opinion.
Well, first of all, I'm going to say that I predicted the score correctly. So
you did, sir.
Extra
yes.
points to me, but they didn't get the goal scorer. I do want to say a few things, particularly has to do with Modric. Beginning with that, I think the most obvious and the reason why he got the man of the match. This guy is gold. Yeah, I don't know how much or how differently to say it. He's pure gold.
Yes.
It's really makes a difference when you have the Ballon d'Or level on the pitch compared to what we've had before this. So if everyone remembers from the season where we won Scudetto, we were praising our midfield, the things that we did. But when you have this caliber, this quality of players, you really know where you stand. And I think it's very important. So I'm very happy Modric got on the score sheet, and what he was doing throughout the game was great. Particularly not only for the goals, he also cut out quite a few passes from the midfield. I think when we speak about the game last night, I'll speak more about this. But I am seeing a different style of play here compared to what we saw last season. The fact that we lost so many games last season. But other than that, still some disappointing things to say about Jimenez. He's in good positions, yeah. So he's in good situations. But the last kick, the end product is just not there. Maybe ifs and buts, but maybe he's getting 70%. You as a striker, you're gonna need the 100% because that then leads to a goal. But he's at least getting 70%. So he's getting those advanced positions. He's getting the ball. When it comes to actually trying to score it or kicking it, he's falling short there. So that to me was a big downer. But overall, I think it was a good game. We hit the post Dini or Baresi, as we like to say in last season, quite a number of times. So you can see how we were knocking on the door. So other than the fact that the scoreline was a bit slim, I do see a lot more positives than there are negatives.
Yeah, thank you. So the first thing I want to do is apologize because I was on the WhatsApp group and I was bashing everyone, laughing at you, saying, stop calling that a penalty. I was watching a replay of the second action of what happened with Nkunku. Basically, how the referee got fooled is how I got fooled. And you were all like, oh, that's a bloody penalty, blatant. And I was like, what? Guys, calm down. Stop wearing your red and black glove. Actually, no. I have to take that back. I was wrong. Okay. So, yeah, that's terrible. And both the referee and the VAR referee are either suspended or heading for suspension. So, that was it's crazy. With VAR,
I mean, even because they suspended the ref. So I mean, that's it's nice when you never want to see someone suspended, right? But it's also nice to see when someone gets called up for a very bad decision.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I like accountability. That's what we all want at the end of the day. And the other thing is, I am loving the fact that in Serie A, referees have microphones, because even yesterday I was watching a game and I clearly heard the referee call out to the audience why a goal was disallowed in a game before us, which was Juventus against was it Verona or something like that, and the referee said fuori gioco. Now what's insane, I was watching this on the Zone, is that the commentator, despite the fact that his job is to cover Italian football, doesn't know the word fuori gioco means offside, and he goes, what was that, foul? Anyway, so regarding this
John,
game, yeah.
Further to that, I just want to point out that I think in terms of the content that the league is actually pushing onto YouTube as well has improved. So I don't know if anyone watching actually takes a look at the Serie A, the league. They post the highlights, so they post the extended highlights, and they post the ref cam now.
Yes,
do they?
Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, mate, did you see the ref cam on Yıldız's goal? Yeah, it was just amazing. Watching from the referee's point of view, that kid get the ball so rapidly. You see in real, kind of like from a person standing only 2 meters away.
Yeah, it's closer. The action is much closer. Yeah, it's great.
It shows you how much faster the action is than it even looks from a distance.
There's no way they could bring that into the EPL, because you can imagine the amount of swearing that would be going on.
Well, yeah, you'd have to mute it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the what was said by the ref was actually not put on YouTube. But a few things that I did observe. One is that because I've watched this compared to, I think Bundesliga. They do this sometimes. Or they did it. They actually mic'd up the ref and they put it on YouTube. So what I see in terms of the refs in the league is that they actually speak English. There's some players I think they know that they don't speak Italian, so there's probably no point talking to them Italian. That the players just don't get it. So they do speak English sometimes. And secondly is that the players, they compared to the Bundesliga or the clip that I watched from the Bundesliga when a ref makes a decision and the players come up to the ref, I think Bundesliga, they entertain a lot more dialogue instead of Italian refs. Italian refs like, I just don't hear it. Yeah, I just don't hear it. And it's actually just blowing to play on.
Yeah, it's
so I think that's the difference.
Yeah, it's more authoritative. Fahadinho, I think your point is correct. So Fahadinho says, correct me if I'm wrong. Until now, we haven't lost a match since Modric started. He didn't play the first one. I think you might be correct, Fahadinho. I think that is a factoid, which is a cool one. Agree on your points, Husni. Modric, what a player. And we're going to carry on, singing his praises, I think, even for the next game. Wonderful. I cannot speak highly enough of him, but also the composure that he brings to the midfield. It's not just a player that is, you watch the ball get to him. He sometimes lets the ball bounce off him to create space, which is insane. The level of intellect somebody must have to see that. And that is beyond even looking at how he drifts into space. Have you noticed against every opponent, they seem to be standing off him, when a lot of the time what he's doing is simply jogging out of the way of the player that they're set on him, which is really, we'll talk about the Udinese game later, it was really at play yesterday, really clear to see. Yeah. One thing that surprised me was that Bologna had over 60% of the ball. I watched the whole game. That's not the feeling I had. We hit the bar, I think, 4 times during the game as well. Santi, at least at 1 or 2. We should have won this game much more comfortably. Bologna really didn't offer anything.
I just want to clarify, right? This is exactly why I wanted Allegri, because it's exactly what we've been missing for the last decade, or over more even since Allegri left, right? So essentially what you have is, even if you have that small amount of possession, you're so compact, right, that it doesn't become a stressful game.
It wasn't a stressful game. It was, but as we've always said, 1-0 is so dangerous because, and you would have been completely right if Bologna had in the last second come over and through a corner or some ball lobbed in, equalised.
Yeah.
That ref decision would have been disastrous, and I mean that would have been, I don't know, properly serious.
100%, anyway, and it shows. I think there's one interesting thing. I think it shows basically, which is, I think for the first couple of years of Redbird's tenure, I don't think that there would have been an apology. Whereas there was actually an apology from FIGC directly to Furlani, right? So, I mean, it seems like that there's something, they're kind of warming up to the idea that they're,
But Shane, even if there was an apology, and we've had these refereeing mistakes before. So, do you remember the case against, but again, this many years ago, for the guys who remember, against Messias, where the ref blew the whistle before Messias scored the goal.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering what actually changes. And, John, you touched upon a good point here. So we are speaking about this refereeing mistake in the context that we won the game 1-0, yeah? Had we drew the game, it's a completely different discussion because you're 2 points down. So I don't know what will change. I hope something changes. That's all we can do. We can, as fans, hope for something changes with regards to the ref. But it just shows that the level of refereeing in these close games, it's not up to standard. So that's still remains a worrying thing, even with VAR.
Well, so this was a VAR problem as well.
No, if anything, it'd be
a VAR problem too.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, because the fact is that the referee, right? The referee wasn't shown the full incident, right? I'd square this more on VAR than the referee, to be honest.
Yeah, it's the VAR referee too that's getting suspended, man. It's not just the ref himself.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, guys, really good discussion. You know, a lot more than just the 1-0 seems to show on paper, isn't it, out of that game? All right, so the other thing that happened is once again a bit of a calf problem with Maignan, and he came off. The latest news is that he's being monitored. They don't think it's a long-term injury, but we're having to monitor it day by day. Once again, early season injury, Maignan out. Is this enough? I mean, at the end of the day, as we all know, his contract renewal was engineered not to be renewed. And I'm going to stand by this point. It's not Maignan that didn't want to renew. It's the club that's been pushing for this. That's my opinion. And so, unfortunately, though, the injuries speak for themselves. Husni, what do you think?
We spoke about this before. So my point about Maignan, and I think it extends to other players, it's not primarily due to the injury. It's the fact that, do I get a good feeling that he will renew? I'm not seeing this, and I am observant of the fact that I'm sure the players are probably waiting until later in the season when they see how we are doing on the sporting side. So if we look firmed up in top 4 or top 5, have a good chance to make the Champions League, I think there's a higher chance of players renewing. Without it, I mean, with or without the injuries, I'm not sure if Mike actually will renew with the club. But then I do want to see what is the plan, not just after Mike, but after some of these players, but specifically for the goalkeeping position. I do recall, what's his name? Toriani, I think, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
So I am okay actually with a younger profile, someone that we can develop, because if what's been going on for the past 3 games, if this stretches into something a little bit more consistent where we have better defensive performance, do we really need to pay top dollar for our goalkeeper? Or can we try to develop someone from the youth, a younger profile that can, be with us for much longer? Keeping in mind that Gigio, even when we weren't with the Champions League, he made his debut and he was essentially developed by the club from a very young age. So this club does have it within them in our DNA to actually get a really good goalkeeper from the youth, give them opportunities, give them chance and time. So we don't really have to go through this. But I feel for Mike. I'm in no way, and I'm saying that Mike is a bad player. He's an excellent goalkeeper. But we spoke about this even last season. Availability is sometimes the best quality.
You did say that last season. I remember very clearly. Shane, your opinion on this, on Maignan?
Yeah, to be honest, world class on his day, right? And it is goalkeeper. No, it is very hard to replace world class, as we're finding out with Estupiñán playing in Teo's position. So, what to say? The fact, though, that he's getting consistently injured, the fact that he wanted to go to Chelsea for understandable reasons. He wanted to play for a series club. I think his time is done. I think, as you said, Husni, I think it's time to get in one of the kids, if we can, see how they go. Judging by early reports that they're going for, what's the Juventus backup keeper, the Italian guy?
Oh. I don't know. I know Di Gregorio is their first one, and he's garbage.
Yeah. So it's the Juventus. Sorry, I'm frantically Googling this.
Why would we be going for Juventus' backup one? I'm telling you, he's going to become their first keeper very soon.
Perin, is it?
Perin.
Yeah, Perin. So they're going for him. I'm not against the move. It never makes sense, though, to, I don't like the idea that, because we're more defensive, we're more solid, right? That we don't need a quality keeper, because a quality keeper, when you're in the Champions League, can be the difference between winning a game and drawing it. you know. Because keep in mind, we're just not, you know, we're not playing in a high level competition outside of the Serie A this year. So I would ideally like to keep him, but again, I think he's done enough with the club. With his injury history as well, management aren't going to be offering anything what he wants in terms of his salary. So I think it's probably best we just accept the fact that he's going to go. Wish him the best. See who we get in. You know, I think probably the biggest points for me, though, the biggest issues that we have are the three at the back that we consistently start with. And they're sitting in front of him when he is playing. So,
yeah. Okay, completely agree with you guys. I think
thanks,
there's
Ryan.
no way.
Perrin. That was it.
Perrin, yeah. There's no way he's getting renewed. There's no way. I think Chelsea need a keeper as well, so it's a good fit. And hopefully there's some kind of training or medical team that gets a hold of what's going on with him, because the evidence is too much now. Year on year on year, it's the same injury happening.
But you see, John, as well, is he looks to me like a guy that he's holding weight.
Yeah.
Like if you look at him, like, because he doesn't look trim and lean, he looks like he's too bulky and top heavy. Like he just looks like he's holding too much weight. So I think I don't know what the fuck they're doing to him. If he keeps getting these calf things, like, that's, I mean, holding extra weight isn't going to really do any, service to your calves if you're top heavy. So
yeah.
But Shane, it's a I call you Shane, sorry. It's a Milan problem. Because what you'll see with these players is that they have recurring injury whilst at this club. But as soon as they leave, it magically disappears. You'll never hear the same injury again. So keep that in mind.
I do think that Milan Labs are guilty of breaking players.
Well, or not spotting how to prevent injuries. That's the other thing. It's just not working anymore. And anyway, the evidence is too great. It's just, unfortunately, his time is over with us, and he will definitely leave next year. I can't see any way he renews.
No, he's gone. I mean, he wanted to go to Chelsea, and to be honest, for justifiable reasons, right? Because I think he's done a huge amount of service at this club, regardless of the long-term injuries, right? I think he's really done a solid job for us, and you can only wish him the best.
Yes, absolutely.
But just to preface that, though, getting rid of our world-class player, because you don't need them, is what, got us into this mess in the first place. So because we said, oh, well, we don't need a world-class player, we can just get an average one. But it was also that mentality as to why we got rid of Rangers. I'm not saying Rangers is world-class, but he's a good player. And next thing then,
Yeah, we'll talk about who ends up in reindeer positions these days. Anyway, we'll talk about that in the Udinese game. Right.
Yeah.
Now we're going to do something we've not done before. Look at how Italian teams performed in the Champions League. This will be a brief one, because I think this is quite interesting as a discussion. We're clearly not in the Champions League, and so how much effort these teams are putting in that competition has an influence on what happens the previous and following week in Serie A, which does have an impact on our chances for the top 4 race. All right, so here is Juventus against Dortmund. Niko Kovac, in case you're wondering who that guy is, finished 4-4. It was an absolutely chaotic game. I believe that at one point Dortmund were 4-2 up. Vlahovic came in and smashed a couple of goals in, made it 4-4.
Sorry, John, just a quick question. Is that's it's Tudor, isn't it?
Tudor, yeah.
Right. Is that image real?
Yes, sir. Yes, it is. I just removed the background.
Yeah, what the fuck was he doing? Is he doing a hacker or something?
I'm telling you, that's why I had to use it. And I think in the future we'll be able to put him against several backgrounds, and it'll look amazing. Anyway, really stressful game for them. Very good that they got a point. Remembering this is just a league phase. You remember what happened last season. There's 8 games for you to make the top 24. It's actually not that hard to make top 24 at all. Top 8 is a different question, but top 24 doesn't need a massive amount of effort. So some would argue that Juventus went a little bit over the top in trying their absolute hardest to come back in this game. But good on them. I think it went a little bit unnoticed that Juventus in 1 week have now conceded 8 goals. 3 against Inter, 4 against Dortmund, and 1 against Verona. So defensively, they have a problem. And their goalkeeper is also part of the problem. But their entire backline, we know what it feels like. We're very familiar what it feels like to have a team with a porous backline.
Thanks, Kalulu.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know how much blame to put on Kalulu because he's on the right side only, but they have a problem. There's no doubt whatsoever. And I think Juve fans, if they're honest to themselves, will look at that and say, can we maintain any kind of campaign conceding this number of goals? Yesterday, they were really close to losing that game, by the way. I watched all of it. There was a goal disallowed for offside from their opposition, So what do you guys think? Do you think Juventus can maintain playing like this and do anything at all? Or do they, they can't go into the market now. So they need to resolve this. Husni.
Yeah, they do, but I think they have the means, and if they're able to really chug along with getting the points and the results that they need, from my perspective, should they be overly worried? I don't think so. Maybe it's one of those issues that over time as the season progresses, they just get better at it. So in the case of Juventus, I do want to point out that they have some ballers there. Yeah, so who's this guy? Yildiz.
They've got Yildiz. They've got Adzic as well.
Yeah. Yildiz. I'm very impressed with this guy and the goals that he's scoring. And as you've mentioned, the game against Inter, even though they conceded quite a bit, but the goals that they scored, some of these were truly impressive. I mean, you could actually put some of these goals in contention for goal of the season maybe this early on.
Yeah.
So those are the sort of things that worry me. Is that if you talk about off balance, not great defensively, but offensively, if you can create wonders, you can still get those 3 points. So if I was a Juve fan, then I wouldn't be too worried.
Shane, what do you think?
I think it's a coaching quality issue.
Yes.
So I think this is the difference. I think so.
That's not been brought up a lot,
Yeah, and I think Inter, you'll see the same issue as well. I think this is why I'm so like excited. I think by Allegri, because you can just see everything that's changed. Like it's evident on the pitch, right? Even the way that we play, even if there's a good defensive player, or there's something that happens, right? Or the ball gets knocked out for a corner, right? The defenders are high-fiving and shit like that. That's the way it should be. Because it's like you're taking pride in the defensive side of the game. Like these guys, though, they're not qualified. Say the Inter coach, the Juve coach, they're not qualified. You can see it with this play. Is that a bad result against the Dortmund team? No. But the fact is as an Italian team, you should never be shipping 4 goals unless you're Milan. So it's unforgivable, but it does come down to a coaching quality issue. I would be highly surprised if the Inter coach and the Juve coach are both in their positions in January.
Ooh, okay. Hot take, guys. Yeah. All right, let's move on to this next one. Inter played away at Ajax. If that face looks a little familiar from the Ajax coach, that's Johnny Heitinga. Now, we know him in the UK because he played for several teams in the Premier League. But that's a young coach that they've taken on. And Inter had a very, very professional performance. 2 headers by another Thuram. Really impressive, really towering headers. Clean, 3 points collected, we move on. So it really didn't take anything out of them this game. So, yep, they seem to have steadied the ship a little bit, and their fans are hoping that this is, the start of a run of solidity because they've really been shaking Serie A. Any opinions on this game, guys? Did either of you watch the highlights even? No?
Yeah, I watched the highlights.
Okay.
in terms of Inter's performance, you could say it's a little commanding. So you wouldn't have imagined that they have been not doing too well in the league for the past few games. But this is what I fear a little bit from Inter, is that as poor or inconsistent they may be in the league, they might turn into like a Champions League regular, in the sense that you definitely need to put money on them to make it to the quarters or even to the semis. So that's the sort of thing, that I guess from our perspective, we should be in that situation as well, that, no matter how we do in the league, when it comes to Champions League, it's in our DNA. Too bad we're not in that situation, and just to correct that again, if any fan thinks that we can win the Champions League this season, not going to happen. I know some fans are still not aware that we're not
going to
in
win the Champions League this season. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, next one is Napoli went away to Manchester City, and the dark destroyer of world football, Guardiola himself, won 2-0. This game was marred by an early red card for Di Lorenzo, where I've always insisted, and you guys on the WhatsApp group know this, I've always thought Di Lorenzo, if you get a ball behind him, he turns really slowly, and then he's caught up because he doesn't have that ultimate pace anymore. And that's what happened here. Is he went to try and stop Haaland, made a bad decision. He missed the ball. That was a straight red. And from that moment, I think it's impressive. And by the way, their goalkeeper, no one is saying this, but they've got Savic, in goal. That's a Torino goalkeeper. That's bloody impressive. Really, really impressive goalkeeper. We've always paid him great praises after Milan plays Torino, saying, "My God, is it Milinkovic Savic? Is that how you say his name?" But if you don't have him, I think Napoli loses a lot more than this 2-0. He had a great performance. I didn't know that Napoli had that acquisition, but for them to lose only 2-0 after an early red card, it's pretty scary. And if you see the goals, it was a wonderful goal by I'm trying to think, Erling Haaland, and then Doku. He made the Napoli defenders look like statues. That is a rapid player, by the way. So, any opinion on the game, Shane?
No. Hate Man City. I want to see them fall off the face of the earth. I don't think they should. I don't think they should be playing anywhere near the Premier League. If there's any justice in the world, to be languishing in Division 2. Fuck them. Okay. Seriously.
All right. And Shane. Sorry, Husni.
Yeah, I did watch the game, but I saw the highlights of the red card, but I want to point you to another thing here, is that Di Lorenzo, I never thought he was particularly that good, but he's, I don't know, maybe something that's off the pitch and what his contributions are. I really don't rate him highly, and I'm wondering, is that players of Napoli fans probably hate me for saying this. I do think he's quite mediocre, and I still don't see how he manages to feature for the national team.
Yeah.
So
the only option for his position is Calabria. That's why.
No. Oh. Okay. No, that's not the case. But it's yeah, he's a captain of Napoli. Husni. I think that's probably it. A manager after manager likes him. I think he's okay with slower teams. The problem is the moment you get someone who'll get the ball behind him, he's in trouble, and he needs a good defender behind him to mop up. But that's my opinion. It's a bit controversial because a lot of people actually think that he's quite a functional defender. Okay, we differ on that. Okay, and then we've got PSG against Atalanta. And you know what? Okay, found out on the day Ederson was injured. Who steps in? Who starts this game? This is what you get when you have 10 football players and a volleyball player in the same squad. You lose 4-0. PSG just toyed around with Atalanta, and Atalanta looked hopeless. Did you guys see any of the goals? Start with Husni this time.
I didn't see the goals, but I wouldn't be surprised with the result. I mean, if Musa is there, we've seen his performances with our team last season. can we expect that much better in a short amount of time? Even though with Atlanta, I don't think so. The big thing that Atlanta and that they're missing, and well, maybe wouldn't have been such a bad result, is that I do believe we're seeing the effects of post Gasparini. It's not looking great.
Yeah. Shane?
Yeah, this is all alleged, but it's amazing what happens when you have a coach that was potentially doping his players.
Oh.
When that coach leaves the club, this is alleged, words of a madman, probably not true, but it might be. When they leave the club, though, I can honestly see Atlanta getting relegated in 5 years. So
Well, yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think the project will start to dismantle bit by bit. Juric is a bit of a strange appointment, but remembering PSG are the European champions, so it's not just like you've suddenly facing an average European team. You're not. You're Luis Enrique, and the way he's coached that team and the way they play is pretty much perfect. And they play as a team, so they are European champions. You've got to give them that credit. Atalanta, however, you cannot line up with Musa. You can't start a game with Musa. And I think Juric, the other thing to say, he has been trying to sit Lookman. Yeah. He has not played a single minute in any of the games, although Lookman was available. Juric has said it's because of personal issues. We need players here that want to be here and so on. After this game, he changed his mind and he said that, okay, I've had to come together with Lookman. That's a great striker, by the way. For you to leave him on the bench is a stupid thing when you have no other strikers fit. So that's what they're going to do moving forward. And by the way, they've just come back from winning in Serie A, and this is a comparison to us. They had played Lecce and they scored 4 goals against Lecce, and CDK had scored 2. They looked fantastic. So you can kind of think, okay, but you can't. I'm sorry, you cannot insert Musa and expect to get anything out of it. That's just
here's why I see that going very, very badly for them, right? Because historically they've never been a big club. I think the fact that Gasparini was there for so long doing miracles through chemical science, I think, again, alleged. So I think that's a huge loss for them, right? Because there's no, but what is the draw to bring you to Atalanta? There isn't any, right? Fair enough, they're playing in the Champions League now. They won't be next year. So there's no draw, right? And then eventually what will happen is the CDKs will start to go, the Lookmans will start to go, the players that they'll get in won't be of similar quality because there's no reason to stay at the club. There's no reason to come to the club. So I think it's going to fall apart very fast for them. I think it's been a long time coming. I think they've had a phenomenal amount of success for the small club that they are. But if I was an Atalanta fan, I'd kind of be prepped for Serie B, where I belong.
Do you think Juric sees Christmas?
I funny enough, I don't think he's actually that bad. I think for what he is, right, I think he's very much an Atalanta mid-level coach. It wouldn't surprise me. I think he probably would see out the year.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
But you see, the thing is, it's who are they going to get in? Because again, if you're trying to get a quality manager into a small club like that, good luck,
But
Okay.
Shane, on that point, the way that I see Atlanta and their ownership is that they willing to stick by their coaches. So there were moments where you could have wavered and said that, okay, we've probably hit the ceiling with Gasparini, but they stuck by him. So, and after all, that's Atlanta's model. If Juric can somehow turn some players into products that the ownership or the senior management can sell, I don't see why they need to move him on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. True.
Fair enough. I personally think he won't. I think Champions League might dictate his future because I think they'll collapse. But I stand to be corrected. Let's see. PSG, as I said, is a very high bar. Maybe they'll do somewhat better, but they need Ederson back. He's a wonderful player. Honestly, one of the best midfields I've seen in Serie A. defensive midfielders I've seen in Serie A for a while. Box to box, really wonderful.
Do you see
Okay.
Musa getting purchased by Atlanta? Because I don't.
No. That's the other point. Is people, I think, misunderstood. They thought that we had sold him straight outright. No, it's a loan initially, and I don't think for 1 minute that Atalanta are going to pull the trigger on him.
I don't
He's
think.
coming back.
Yeah, he's going to come
Coming
back.
back.
And the thing is I don't. There's not going to be a resurgence like what happened with Salamakers. Salamakers came back as a mature, fully formed player, which was fantastic.
Yeah, we'll talk about Salamaker in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but Musa though, there's no way you can fix that. Like, so the thing is the last thing that I'd want to see is him using up the space in this squad next season.
I know it. I'm worried about him coming back. Really, honestly. Right. So, last night's game, I watched it live. Shane, you watched it live, I think.
Yep.
Husni, were you awake for it, or was it stupid?
No, I slept, but I caught the replay just now.
Okay, so their coach is called Costa Runjajic. I think that's I don't know if that's or Runaic. Where I don't know how you pronounce these names. Udinese. They had 100% record before playing against us. I watched a pre-game warm-up. Their stadium was rocking. They really looked like they were up for it. The Curva, I think we had a lot of fans because it was an away game, so we had some proper fans out there, and it was nice to see them, nice and loud. You know, this is going to be quite an occasion. And my concern, as always, was that Udinese are a very physical team. You could look at them; they're pretty much all of them giants, and I thought they could bully us. And I just had this thought that they've beaten Inter. They've gone through a 3-game run. I think they could actually give us a threat. From the very first few minutes, it became very clear that Milan had total control. The lineup, let's just talk about the lineup, which I have on the next slide. The lineup was, I'll read it to you. We started with Terracciano in goal, Pavlovic, Gabbia, Tomori. So Pavlovic picked up a knock against Bologna. Unfortunately, he recovered. So he was available for this game and put straight back in. Then in midfield, we had on the right-hand side Salamaker, then Fofana, Modric and Estupinian. And then we had Rabiot and Pulisic and Jimenez up top. Overall, I think I saw that lineup and thought, okay, everything's okay for what we have available, except for I don't want Pavlovic there. And Fofana, why the hell is he starting? It should be Ricci. That was the big complainer I had about this. On their side, I don't really know a lot of their players, but some of the guys in the chat were saying that we were looking at a couple of their players for maybe January. Now, we absolutely bossed that game, and I want to give credit where credit is due. That is Salamaker. He combines so beautifully. He's a small, tricky player, which is incredible how he mixes with Pulisic, a small, tricky player, who combines really well with Rabiot, a big physical player that smashes play. And then there's the creator of everything, Modric. Modric was nothing short of wonderful from the very first moment until the moment he came off. As I said, what shocked me, I expected Udinese to go and sit a player on him. I genuinely did. I thought, it's obvious when you watch us play, everything starts with Modric. Sit a player on the guy, he won't, because it's someone who's physical and quick. Surely he can't get past him. But no, what he was doing, he was just gently in space, finding those pockets. And then even when he received the ball, you must have noticed, sometimes players would fire the ball at him and he would let it bounce off him on purpose. So the ball bounced away into space and then he would move into that space. That is control of a level that we haven't seen, I think, from any player in our squad since we had the great players. Incredible. Rabiot, huge step up in class. So glad that his arrival has meant that RLC is basically back on the bench. RLC should not be starting games for us. I've said it before. He's a big physical player, but on the defensive side, in terms of interception, he does not do any of that. He just marauds forward. We don't need that. Rabiot hopefully stays in that position. Fofana scored his goal. Pulisic scored 2 goals. And here I want to make a point. There was a suggestion last week by a pretty big podcaster that Pulisic may be losing his position as a strategy because he doesn't suit the formation. That shows you know nothing about football. Think very clearly about how technically gifted this player is, how much of a lethal finisher he is, and how hard he works for the team. Pulisic is the first name that goes on that team sheet. Simple as that. Now we've got so many players. I would put Rabiot on that team sheet also very early. I would put Modric on that team sheet very early. We've got a few players, and Salamaker, he is making a huge claim for saying, I am that player. And it's incredible. The attacks can now come from all these tricky players that can hold the ball really well. One thing I wanted to say, and I think a lot of players and a lot of people have completely missed out on this on other podcasts. Udinese, as coach, his name, as I said, Runaic, was asked after the game. We noticed that you actually changed the formation. The advertised formation that we just showed is not the formation he played. He played a 4-4-2, a formation that he had not gone to for over a year. I'll ask both of you. At the beginning of the game, did it not look like Udinese did not understand what was going on? The players did not understand each other, didn't know where each other was. Were you aware that this coach had suddenly decided to switch to a formation they had not used in over 12 months? And by the way, about a year ago, Milan beat Udinese. In their last fixture away to Udinese, Milan beat them 4-0. So it's not, yes, they always give us a tough game. Historically, they do. But under this coach, this team has been a soft touch, actually, against us. Very much. It's a very strange thing to have done, to have changed the formation. So he was asked after the game, why did you go to a 4-4-2 that the players are not familiar with? Do you regret doing that? And his answer was, Milan was better than us in every single phase of the game. And when you look at the goals, at least 2 of them were individual errors, which I don't disagree with. So when you consider that, I don't think the formation comes into it very much. Your opinion on this, Shane? Let's start with you.
Overall, so here's again. I just wanted to clarify. This is exactly why I wanted Allegri. So I've said it for the last few years. I wanted Allegri is because I wanted to shore us up defensively because we were stuck. I missed the days where even if we'd comprehensively won a game, right, it was never without like a feeling of trepidation because you were always it was always possible that, you know, we could ship 2 or 3 goals quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That gave that the complete game last night, right? Regardless of any formation changes from Udinese or anything like that, right? That was controlled, it was deliberate, there was a process. Every player knew what they were doing. Defensively, it was amazing because you had the players, they've discovered the joys in celebrating each other when they do things, you know, well defensively. Like if a ball gets knocked out, right, for a corner, even you have players going up like Tomori, Pavlovic, high-fiving one another, right? That's exactly the way it should be. Once you have that joy of doing things properly from the back, you become a serious team, right? So again, this is, you know, I'm happy it's working out. I just want to temper expectations though, because keep in mind, John, as you said a couple of podcasts ago, the real test is, when is it? Saturday next week, I think we have Napoli.
Let's see. Carry on talking. I'll check the fixtures.
I'm sure it's Saturday next week. So, I mean, that's going to be the first real test, right? I think if we can get out of that by not losing, I will be delighted. So in other words, if we can come out with a draw, I think this early in the season against Napoli, that would do me right now.
It's Sunday, the night game on Sunday next week.
So it's Sunday next week. So, I mean, that's the test, right? Because, I mean, Lecce and the Coppa Italia, to be honest, I couldn't give a toss about the Coppa Italia. I never have done. They might as well just go and field a ton of kids against Lecce.
We'll destroy Lecce no matter what we do. Lecce are terrible.
I mean? So, like, who cares? But, like, you know, that's going to be the real acid test. So I don't want to be So while I loved everything about the game, I loved the overall performance of the team. I just want to arc back though to why I don't want to lose Maignan in this way, because we can easily see what happens when we start using the logic. Well, we don't need a world-class player, right? It was that logic that, look at the state of Estupinian in that position last night.
Yeah.
So, like, if you had Theo in that position, going forward, like
he would have scored.
He would have scored, right? So, like, Estupinian is horrific. He's ineffectual. Good left foot. Like, the thing is, I think he is a good left foot, right, at some point. But like, when you start looking at the overall context of Estupinian versus Theo, you really start to see the breakdown of like just swapping out a good player for a very average one. Or likewise, let's say if we used, I don't know, if we swapped Fofana with Tonali.
Oh my God, yeah.
Right? Can you imagine? Like, that's the start of a serious squad.
Well, let's just swap Fofana for Ricci, please.
Even right, because
we can do that today.
Or you can see, like, RLC as well, dude. Like, RLC coming on the pitch at any point. Like, if you're AC Milan, I said it yesterday in the chat, which, guys, if you want to join the Milanistas 360 chat, hit us up on X or Insta. After you like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, super important.
Very good.
But, I said it on the chat yesterday that, RLC is a fine player to play from the start if you're playing like low, table teams, right? Where you're just kind of like, you just need a workhorse and someone who can basically carry the ball into the goal. And that's what they'll do. But in Italy, like, you're not going to get easy games like that very often. So RLC isn't someone that we should be playing from the start. I'm hopeful.
In fact, good point, Shane. Play him against Lecce. There you go. He's in the Coppa d'Italia.
Lecce.
There you go. There you go.
Perfect, right? But the thing is, though, John, I think I'm hopeful if we can give Allegri, which I'm hopeful he'll last now. If we can give him another 2 windows and give him the players that he wants, I don't think we start seeing, Fofana's gone, Estupinian will no longer be a thing. RLC will no longer be a thing. We might even give him a striker that he wants. And I don't know if that's going to be sacrificing Nkunku or Jimenez, right? But, I mean, if you give him the pieces that he needs, dude, where you're really starting to look like a contender then at that point.
So who would you say? So Husni, what did you think of the highlights that you watched? And then I'm going to ask you for your best player. So think about this: your best player and your worst player of the game. All right. So Husni, what did you think of the game overall first?
Yeah, it is great. So as soon as I woke up, I took a look at the score just to see where we're at. Yeah, you're right, John. In seasons past, we wouldn't. There was a good chance we wouldn't win that game. Yeah, because you're right. When it comes to the physicality of Udinese players, the players that they've played against us, even from the first few minutes, I mean, those it was tough. Yeah, so it was never meant to be an easy game. But then when you look at the performances, and I really have to credit the entire midfield. And the officially published formation is a 3-5-2. So I did see it that it was difficult for Udinese really to break through that midfield. I mean, we had stacked players, and the one thing that I really enjoyed, and something that I felt that we've missed for a long time, is the transition. Yeah, when we got possession back, and how quick were we getting to the final third and trying to get that goal. So that I well and truly enjoy. And just starting from the right hand side, Salmakers, we need to somehow get this guy pinned down for a contract renewal because he's great. Not only is he great in games like this, but he's also very consistent. So he's been doing what he's doing in the game last night. He's been doing it for several games already, and even back since preseason. So this isn't like a one-off thing. So Salmakers, he deserves a starting spot in this team, and he deserves a contract renewal.
Yes.
The other thing is, and I want to eat my words a little bit, when I said that I wasn't so sure how Rabiot would turn out. Rabiot has been great, in terms of really progressing the ball forward and being in advance. So I like his pressing and the fact that whenever we're into that offensive play, he's near, if not in the box. something that I really like to see from this team, because if you see the goals that we scored, I mean, yeah, they were. These are from chances, opportunities that fell inside the box usually. So this is what I really enjoyed. Modric, can't say enough about this guy. I hope Modric can stay with us longer than this 1+1 season deal that we have.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
okay. That you've brought up a very big can of worms.
Yeah, if he can stay with us for as long as he is healthy, that is great. Estepinian had a good game. So he should actually have had the assist for, guess who? Jimenez, right? I think Jimenez had a good chance. I think. Yeah.
You meant okay, all right.
Jimenez, I just a quick thing on Jimenez, right? He is doing, and I know it's all in the finer details, and I know the striker, I know it's an important position, right? And the end product is you get goals. We get that, right? And we're not getting the goal output. He's doing the hard parts, right? He's doing the hardest part, which is he's actually present and he's in the box, right? The thing is, he's just not converting right now. Right, but just in his defense, right? If this was a serious club, right? A serious club isn't trying to ship him out to Roma for some very vague, retarded swap deal with a striker that's not proven for Roma either in the last day of the window. What that's going to do is that's going to fuck you mentally, because it's going to go, they wanted to get rid of me.
Correct. Yeah, I agree with
So, I mean, you have to give, like, people don't have an understanding of this. People's expectation is, oh, well, you know, they're on so much million. So therefore, I forgot the part where if you're on a couple of million, it makes you no longer a human being. And if you feel disrespected, which I would assume that he should do, you can see why he's a bit off. But my thing with Jimenez, though, is I think there's a serious player in there. I think give him a few months more, right? Just once he gets that first goal, right, he's going to smash it completely. I think that's the way it's going to go with Jimenez. And I think people are going to be forgetting about all this talk that, oh, we should sell him, we should do all this, because again, that type of talk that we should be selling players, again, this is why we have a Estepinian in for Teo, and this is why we'll have Perrin instead of Mike, and we'll be dropping points again. So,
give me your best and worst player, Shane.
Worst player? I would love to put Fofana because he's such a fucking bang average player, but because he scored, I can't select him. So I'll go Estepinian for the worst. The best player, I'm not going to go Pulisic. I'm going to go Rabiot.
Okay, very good. I like it. So, Husni, your choice of best and worst, please.
The worst, and I know it's harsh, but Jimenez, as a striker, if he's not scoring, you're just simply not doing your job. So, sorry to say that, Santi, but not great there. Best, yeah, it's as everyone said it, or most people have said it, Pulisic. I worry for Pulisic in terms of his contribution, what he can do. If he doesn't renew with us this season, I can't really think of someone else to replace him. I mean, Nkunku, I guess Nkunku really hasn't had a chance because he's not. He's not been in.
He's not ready yet.
The opportunity. But I do want to say that you're right, Shane. Other than Fofana, I need to see more of Richie, and I want to understand what is the plan for Richie. We spent a good amount of money, and we waited for Richie. I don't think we did all that just for a sub, right? For a bench player.
It's too much money for us, the bench players.
Yeah. So I want to know what's going on with Richie, because in the minutes that he's played, I think he's been great. Not only in this game, in the past game as well.
Yeah.
So I don't want it to be a case where he's on the bench and eventually we'll start to see him fade. I don't want to see that happen to Richie.
No, I think, but if you look at it, I think so far Allegri's doing a thing where he's trying to figure out what his best 11 is. Right. But the thing is if I'm consistently swapping Ricci with Fofana and Ricci is playing better than Fofana and it's a safer pair of hands, what's the long-term effect going to be?
Well, no, it has to sink in at some point, dude.
It does. Like, I mean, you know,
It's obvious to your eyes. The eye test tells you Ricci does things that Fofana can't.
That's it.
So
That's
the
it.
eye test will, I don't know why. I don't know why. Maybe when you're standing by the side of the pitch or watching them training, Fofana does something different. I don't get it. Nevertheless, I think Ricci will eventually take that position. So this leads me to a couple of things. First of all, I'll say the best player for me, really loved this play. You could easily say Modric that would be an easy choice. And Modric was beautiful again as a footballer. But I really like Salamanca. I really, really am impressed with the way he's playing. Pulisic deserves a really big mention. As for the worst player, I'm going to say someone you've not mentioned, is Pavlovic. Yes, we did have a clean sheet, but the number of times that guy was past Santi Jimenez, I'm talking about during open play, he just wanders off. And I'm telling you, against teams that can actually hit you on the counter, that's going to leave. If he doesn't have Rabiot behind him, by the way, imagine you have RLC in that position instead, and Pavlovic has gone into the run like that. There's literally a runway all the way through to the goal open. That's where Rabiot's input into this game is so important. He backs up and he smashes the play when idiots like Pavlovic has his little wonder. That guy does not want to be a centre-back. I am telling you, and I'll keep banging this drum. So that, for me, was the worst player, despite being a clean sheet. Okay, so this does open up something. Leao. The Leao question. Where do we fit Leao in this squad? Think about the squad right now. Where does he go? Like, honestly, £100 million player, where does he go in this squad? Husni.
I'll say it. I think Leao's preparing for Leao to be sold. He's not going to renew. Everyone knows we can't afford his renewal. This is pretty much a transition to say that we can play without him. And you're right. In the past 3 games, I haven't really missed him. I mean, we've had games where, when we were playing, that you would wonder that, if Leao was on the pitch, maybe we would see something different. But can you confidently, for the past 3 games, say that you needed Leao there? I can't. Even in the game against Bologna, I don't really think that he would have made much of a difference. And if you were to somewhat shoehorn him in the team, you're either going to have to drop Santi, possible. So maybe Leao and Pulisic should be the 2 strikers up front. I don't see him replacing Estupinian because Leao, he's just not great at defending, and everyone knows that. You might as well put Bartazagi there. So that's the only end game that I see for Leao, is that, this will continue for as long as we can, get the results together. Towards the end of the season, we'll see the signs. Then at the next transfer window, we'll see the announcement.
Yeah. Shane, please, your point of view on Leao.
Yeah, so I mentioned in the chat yesterday, so there's a couple of warning signs with Leao. I think he's kind of maybe a hangover from when we weren't taking ourselves seriously. Right? And I think that's slowly starting to get eroded now, and rightfully put to bed, because Allegri's drubbing some sense of responsibility into the players. Just the warning signs are, rapper, right? So is your head really in football, dressing like a woman? Where do you even start, right? So the thing is if your head's not really on the pitch, I don't really see that you should be probably one of the highest paid players at the club, if not the highest. I don't see him lasting past the summer. I think a bid comes in. I'd gladly accept 70 or 80 million. Funny enough, I think Nkunku was kind of shadow bought in to replace Leao. So
because he's apparently more of a wing player, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think what they'll do is, they're hopeful that either Santi will take off. If he doesn't, they'll bring in a number 9. That'll do them. I think the dependency on Leao has to go at some point anyway. It was fun while it lasted, but having a dependency on a player like that which unfortunately we're building around Modric now. But I think a Modric that's more substantial, right? Because he's a world-class player, absolutely consistently, even at his age. So I think, I think Leao, I know despite what I just said about, Mike and, being world-class and selling world-class is never a good idea. We don't have that with Leao. We have some moments of excitement, but for the most part, I think we're no longer dependent on him. Therefore, I think he's, if you could recoup 100 million for Leao, I would take that in a heartbeat. So,
okay. So my point of view is, if Allegri keeps this formation, the only place, he's got two locations where he could put Leao. One, Jimenez drops and Leao is used as the striker.
yeah,
Okay.
don't like
The
that.
other one is the Estupinian position, but then there's no defending going to happen from that side, and you're really relying on Pavlovic being able to cover, which is a bit scary if you think about it. So if he keeps this formation, the other way is he changes the formation, and then you have a proper winger position for a winger to run, which we know Leao really loves. Okay. Now, you guys both mentioned this guy, Modric, and the dependency on Modric. The issue is, I think Modric is great for what he's doing now. He can't sustain it if we're going to have a campaign with the Champions League, at the same time. And you need someone else. And we've forgotten all of this. We've forgotten another player, Jashari, that we waited a long time and we brought in as well. So there's a lot of players that are to come in back into the squad. And you look at that squad and you think, well, Fofana is going to lose his place. There's no doubt. Santi, he could be under threat when Leao comes back. He could be. I'm not saying he is.
So
it
that's
depends
where
what Allegri wants to do.
sees Leao, John. So Allegri he's came out and he said that he wants to have Leao as this kind of false number 9.
Well, you see, so that's what I'm saying. Because you keep the entire squad the same right now, and you put Leao up there and allow him to run from deep, because that's what he loves to do, run from deep. Would he have better finishing than Santi? There's no doubt he would have better finishing than Santi. I'm sorry. You've got to say, on current analysis, data that we have in front of us, he would finish better than Santi.
Yep.
So, and I'll leave that to Allegri. He's clearly, a really good coach, and I'm going to leave it to him. And the team is playing well at the moment, so I'm not going to question it. One last point I wanted to make, guys.
Shout out just to a new commenter, Geek Undrum, shift Santi back to Holland. It's a bit too soon. Give him a chance. I think he'll come good.
One last point I wanted to make. Pre-season, I had Milan on having won every game up until now. I saw the fixtures, I saw the squads, and I saw their performances last season, and I thought Milan would be on full points right now. We are not. To me, we're 3 points behind schedule. Now come the real opposition. So everything that we've said, let's qualify it. Okay? 3 of the teams we've faced are basically Serie B level, and we've lost to one of them. By the way, if now that I've got the zone, I'm watching more games, and I can watch them at later dates. Cremonese last week should have been absolutely hammered. They conceded so many shots on goal, but somehow they got away with a draw. Okay, so Cremonese are not up to anything. They will drop. Now come the real tests. Napoli, then Juventus. I think Juventus
and Fiorentina for that.
Yeah. And Fiorentina. Fiorentina's under Pioli, mate. I mean, forget that. You know what Fiorentina will be doing.
I'm not going to count them up myself.
I'm telling you, man. I watched them play. They're clueless. They're playing exactly like us, like we used to. Anyway, let's see and let's judge. All I'm saying is just a little bit of tone of calm down. It looks great. Modric is a wonderful player. I am so curious what a team like Napoli will do against our midfield. I'm very curious, and I'm looking forward to it, actually, to next Sunday, 7:45. So let's move on from here. One last comment I wanted to make was on Camarda. Now, I've mentioned this in previous pods, but I just want to highlight it because the evidence is building. Lecce, 4 games, 8 goals conceded, only 2 goals scored. These guys are heading straight to Serie B. The boy is not even getting many minutes within the squad, and they don't have a talented midfield. They are not creating many chances at all. Perhaps they're one of the smallest or weakest chance creating teams in the entire league. Why is Camarda there? He's 17 years old. Is he there just to grow physically? Because I can tell you now, he is not there to grow technically. There is nothing in that squad and in that project that's going to help him grow technically. That's a disastrous situation. And for Milan's future and for Italy's future, I am starting to get genuinely concerned that this boy's career will be coming to an end faster than it even begins. Just wanted your opinion on that, because the evidence is a Lecce is a dead it's a dead end. Shane.
It's a shame. It's a shame, right? I think at some points there's more merit to sending him to Serie B. Like if you can send him even to a mid-level, mid-table team in Serie B, right, and you can kind of confirm that he's going to be a starter there, I think there's more merit to that, right, as opposed to sending him to Lecce where he's not really even a guaranteed starter and he's playing for a team that just can't create anything. Because essentially all he's going to be fine-tuning is how can I stay on side. That's it.
Yeah.
He's not going to be, trying to be. He's not going to be scoring a lot, if anything. So this was not a good move for him. That being said, though, John, it's very hard to get excited about him because he's young, Italian, and a striker. When was the last time there was one of those? Right? No, I'm joking. But still, this hasn't been a good move for him for his career, I think. And as you said, right, who was that player, John, I mentioned last night? Was it Zaniolo?
Zaniolo. There's another player but injuries curtailed his career. Really, Zaniolo has bounced.
Used to be, I thought he was going to be a special player.
Yeah, me too. Me too. He had everything. He had, in glimpses, he had everything. Carmelo's joined us and he's making us laugh. He said, the sun is shining in Ireland after days and days of rain, thanks to Fofana hitting the target. Yeah. There's a point there. Husni, what do you think on Camarda?
Yeah, I'm not only looking at Camarda, but I'm looking about the path taken by the other strikers in Italy. Yeah, so we have Moise Kean. So he's went through the Juve system, passed around alone a lot, and now he ended up in Fiorentina. Then I'm looking at Retegui, yeah? So you're doing quite well with Atlanta, if I remember correctly. Now in Saudi Arabia, right?
Yeah.
Where has this league actually developed an Italian striker? I can't think of one really. So is Camarda going down the same path? I think so. If you ask me if this club really had a sense of trying to develop a player, we didn't need Nkunku. Nkunku, no doubt, he's a good player, but we didn't need him. Camarda could have come in for the Nkunku minutes.
Yeah,
that would have been a better display because we were winning those games. He could have just without the pressure worked well with the team. But now he's as you've mentioned, John, with Lecce, and if he stays with Lecce much longer, it's definitely going to get worse. It's definitely not doing wonders for his confidence. So this is why I've always said that these players, if this ownership or management were any good, would actually work out a deal with a team not in the top 5 league for a regular playing time, just in a different environment. Yeah, see how well he does. This is something that this management can't seem to get done. But I feel bad for him. I think there's a player there. There's definitely a player there because he's played well for us. So can only hope that Lecce somehow find a string of games that feature him and he can do something, because Serie D is not his level. Serie D is not his level. He definitely can't go back to Primavera, but we're gonna have to find something. And if the trust is not there, then what's the point? Might as well just sell him then.
People were talking about the fact that Milan were going to pay Lecce for every assist and every goal he scored. Whoever decided for him to go to Lecce either knew that Lecce were going to be heading straight for the bin, or decided that Camarda, all he needs is to just be physical and he doesn't need any technical tuition. You just imagine what Camarda would look like as a sub in our squad with that strength behind him. It's really upsetting.
I mean, and as you say, right? I mean, the main frustration with Santi, and kind of, I think Carmelo had a good point there. Him and Lecce should have gone to Lecce instead.
Nice, I like it.
But yeah, Gunardi also another valid point. Better send him to either Ajax or PSV. Let him grow there. The Italian league doesn't appreciate the young guns. But who's to say, right? If we didn't have the likes of, if you had Camarda coming on, right, late on in the games, instead of maybe being swapped with Nkunku, right? Who's not to say that he's going to get on the end of one of those balls? Because there's balls in the box now fucking every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right, so it could be potentially very good for him. I understand what the management are saying is they wanted someone who's ready-made, and therefore they went for someone like Nkunku. I get that, right? But, I mean, I think with the growth that he's probably not getting at Lecce, I mean, Jesus, even have him remain at the club. I mean, last night would have been a great example, right? Because if you could bring on, you can bring on the likes of Camarda, right? Like if you're winning 3-0,
just bring him on. Exactly. Just bring him on. Let him have some fun. No pressure whatsoever. Lecce have a hard time getting out of their own half. That's how badly they're playing. And by the way, the only 2 goals that they scored, one of them was an absolute blistering strike of a player that took the ball. They were losing 4-0 to Atalanta, or 3-0 to Atalanta at the time. He took the ball on his own against all the Atalanta defenders, dribbled past them, and hit a bullet, a missile, which will probably go down as one of the contenders for goal of the season or goal of the month. That's what it took to score 1 goal.
Yeah.
Lecce is a terrible place, terrible location. Whoever engineered that move has no interest in Camarda. It has no interest in his growth, because he does not need the physicality. You guys have seen him. He's 17, but if he didn't have the face of a child, he's got the body of a fully grown man. He's built already.
Yeah, he's
built already. So I'm very, very troubled, because I think the future for this kid someone might have engineered his destruction, basically. And I just hope he can come through that, because he's young enough, and I hope he's mentally strong enough. But that's how I see it. On just last thing I wanted to say before we finish off. First of all, thank you everyone for joining us today. We've had a lot of people. Clearly, all of us getting together is great. Hopefully people enjoy the fact that we're all together again. Gunardi, thank you. Fahadinho, thank you. Carmelo, thank you. Kim, thank you. Have I missed anyone out? Goodness, there was a new guy, wasn't there?
There was.
I'm terrible
so
at keeping notes.
Geek Underum, and there was also Ray or Ra as well.
Ra as well. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah.
So awesome to have you all with us. Oh, and Max, of course. How can we forget Max? Great. Long may it continue. Next time we meet, we'll probably be doing a preview on the Napoli game. We'll do a proper focus on that after we've taken care of Lecce with RLC starting. Let's hope. The rumor is Leao might be back for that game, by the way, against Napoli. Interesting.
And there's still no word on when Maignan going to be back, no?
Not yet. No.
It's always troubling.
Yeah, it's been like this before, remember? Which was, and Cacciavit, of course. Cacciavit.
Cacciavit, yep.
Absolutely. We've had this before, haven't we? Where people have been looking at him daily, and then it's gone week on week on week on week. So
We've been
We
here
better have
before.
I'm a bit worried about the keeper. The keeper last night was not catching a lot of balls. Is it Terracciano? He was punching balls that should have been caught. Oh, and by the way, on the zone, if anyone from the zone is listening, and I doubt very much they are, please get rid of that bloody commentator, Paul Robinson. Please, I don't want to hear an English goalkeeper talking about how Milan bossed the game against Bologna and kept the ball when Bologna had over 60% possession. You clearly didn't watch the game, my friend. All right? We need people that actually understand the game and understand Serie A. We started at 7:30 in the morning, Carmelo. Bright and early. Come on, man. You can do better, sir. All right. Ciao a tutti. Forza Milan, all right?
Forza Milan.
All right. Forza Milan, everyone, and thanks again for joining us. Please drop us a DM if you'd like to join our WhatsApp group. And yeah, until next week's episode, look forward to seeing you guys again. Bye.
Peace.
Che comunque il calcio è imprevedibile e le cose non sono mai scontate, quindi è anche la bellezza, no, di questo sport.
Io rappresentavo per questa squadra, era quello che non mollava mai, quello che doveva fare stare sempre su il morale, ma io mi ci trovavo bene perché sono sempre stato uno che mi piaceva dare fuoco ai miei compagni, incaricarli prima delle partite.
Il mio sogno che si è avverato è uno dei sogni dei bambini, di tanti bambini.
Gol è un qualcosa per la gente che riusciamo a fare diventare matti, riusciamo a fare diventare